Listen, man, it bothers me that a lot of people will turn a blind eye to a lot of things that's going on in the world. As soon as you bring up a conspiracy theory, they're quick to shoot it down before they even listen. And then years down the line, when it come out that it was true, they're mesmerized, they're blown away. They just in so much of a state of shock that they just can't believe it. But yet you walk around day in and day out and just act like you so tunnel vision. You just don't pay attention to nothing that's going on out here. And it's like, fam, wake up. Wake up. I need everybody to wake up, bro. This stuff keeps happening. And it's like, sometimes it feels like nobody's caring about it. Check out some of these conspiracy theories.
There is no lack of conspiracy theories on the internet these days, and it seems that no topic is safe from the strange theories that some people have. The government is a big target for conspiracy theorists, but also included in these discussions are actors, musicians, politicians, true crime cases, and even certain restaurants, to name but a few. And some of the claims made about them are so far-fetched that it's almost impossible to take them seriously. Number 10. The Church of Scientology has seen its fair share of controversy since it was founded in the 1950s by L. Ron Hubbard, a well-known science fiction and fantasy author. The aim of the group is to combine psychology and pseudoscience in order to achieve spiritual enlightenment. This is achieved by employing a method called auditing. They claim that auditing will help their followers get rid of any spiritual impurities they may have, while simultaneously increasing their natural abilities. When these two states are achieved, the individual will achieve their full spiritual potential. Since its founding, the church has gained some very prominent members, most famously the actors John Travolta and Tom Cruise. But due to their poor reputation that was brought about by revelations from ex-members and certain scandals within the church, most people don't take them too seriously. One of the biggest controversies occurred in 1973, when they started implementing Operation Snow White in an effort to have what they referred to as false reports by the government corrected and purged from the record. They decided to call the mission Operation Snow White because they considered these reports to be akin to fairy tales and had no basis in reality. It all started when the church's ship, the Apollo, was turned away from several international ports, thanks to reports from the US, German, and English governments. When Hubbard devised the plan, he intended for it to be carried out legally, but in the end, this was far from the case. With Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue, heading the operation, several of the church members were placed in government agencies, where they went about accessing, copying, and destroying any information that painted the group in a bad light. They managed to infiltrate the IRS, the Justice Department, and the US Coast Guard. They wanted to remove reports and proof that the church was being operated with the sole purpose of lining Hubbard's pockets, and so became the operation's primary target. They were also unhappy about the fact that the IRS had stripped the church of its tax-exempt status, and Hubbard created a doctrine called fair game, the guidelines of which stated, quote, Scientology adversaries like the IRS could be deprived of property or injury by any means by any Scientologist without any discipline of the Scientologist. They may also be tricked, sued, or lied to or destroyed. While the operation was in full swing in the US, other countries were also being targeted. It's said that this came about because the church purchased its own private navy, and hence nations around the world started keeping records on the church, most of which were unfavorable. To infiltrate these agencies, some members forged identity documents and credentials, after which they stole any information they were told to. And while the purpose of the program may have initially been to clear the group's name legally, they were now knowingly engaging in criminal activities.
That's what I was just saying, like, whoa, at some point in time, you gotta back up and say, whoa, fam, we done crossed the line here. We've crossed the line, bro.
Against these governments. Furthermore, they started using electronic surveillance devices, such as listening devices that were placed inside of offices, including the IRS's conference room. This was reportedly done right before a meeting was being held regarding Hubbard and his Scientologists. They also made use of outside sources, such as private detectives who were told to follow IRS officials and look for certain vulnerabilities in the government that could then be exploited. While the operation was brought to a close at the end of the 1970s, these private detectives remained on their payroll and are said to still be reporting on government activity. 11 of the church's members were individually arrested and charged with crimes that included obstruction of justice, burglary, theft of government property, and much more. Hubbard was never charged, and the church eventually regained its tax-exempt status, but its reputation had been damaged even further, and it's never recovered. Number 9. Hundreds of earthquakes occur around the world every year, but we usually only hear about the largest ones that affect the communities where they hit. Some quakes are so small that they pass by almost unnoticed. But when a large quake hits, it can sow a massive amount of destruction. But they are also the cause of another natural disaster that can be even more frightening for communities that are located on the coast. Tsunamis occur when an earthquake takes place under the ocean, resulting in massive waves being driven onto the land and destroying everything in its path. One of the most famous of these is the tsunami that occurred in the Indian Ocean in December of 2004, following an undersea earthquake that measured a magnitude of 9.1 on the Richter scale. The resulting tsunamis were reported to be as high as 30 feet in some areas, and resulted in one of the most devastating natural disasters in all of recorded history. As many as 12 countries were affected by the waves, and struggled to deal with the aftermath thanks to a shortage of food, shelter, and medical facilities. There is no doubt that a tsunami is one of the most destructive forces of nature there is, but according to some conspiracy theorists, they don't actually exist. It's believed that the theory first came to light after the 2004 tsunami, when internet users started speculating about why this particular tsunami took place a year to the day after an earthquake that occurred in Iran on the 26th of December 2003. They felt that this couldn't be mere coincidence, and hence started speculating that the government surely had a hand in these events. They also pointed out that no seismic activity was recorded in the area before the quake hit.
Now, a lot of y'all are going to be quick to dismiss this one. I know it. I can already hear y'all talking like, man, come on. You're going to sit here and tell me, no, I'm not saying tsunamis don't exist. I'm sitting here saying that they can act like one took place and it didn't for several different reasons, bro. And can just show us pictures, old pictures, Photoshop pictures, different pictures to make it seem like a disaster happened. We're not there. But they capture our heart. They tug on our heartstrings. And then you start to donate, or they can do different things with that. So don't completely dismiss this. Just listen and take what you will from it.
Something that isn't commonplace, but also not unheard of. Then there was the fact that many of the affected countries' governments were slow to react after the disaster struck. And many people felt that they were being deliberately tardy, not only after the tsunamis hit, but in warning their citizens of the approaching disaster, though it isn't known why this would have been done. Soon, theories about what could have caused the tsunami started to spread, with some theorists claiming there was no natural earthquake, but that the government had used an eco-weapon to trigger a quake and the resulting tsunami. They also claimed that this same weapon can be used to cause volcanoes to erupt, and that this is achieved with the use of electromagnetic waves that can be triggered remotely. As crazy as that theory may sound, it certainly isn't the strangest. Other conspiracy theorists suggested that extraterrestrials were responsible. They claimed that these beings have become aware of a wobble in the Earth's rotation and triggered the earthquake in an effort to correct it. But all of these theories have been shot down by seismologists and scientists who reiterated that this was a natural disaster that affected hundreds of thousands of lives in several different countries around the world, and that the spread of these outlandish theories does more harm than good. Still, theorists maintain that there is some secret agenda behind these disasters, but are yet to offer up any proof of their claims. Number 8. Andrew Federley Wilkes Cryer, better known as Andrew W.K, is a well-known musician who blends different types of music, including metal, rock, and on occasion elements of pop. He released his first solo album in 2000, and followed that up with an equally successful album in 2003. He's a multi-instrumentalist who quickly gained the respect of other rock artists, including the Foo Fighters, for which he opened a few months before his first album was released. His career was set to take off, and in the years that followed, he amassed a large fan base. But in modern times, he's often mentioned in conspiracy theory forums. It's believed that these theories came about thanks to an individual called Steve Mike, who was listed as the producer of WK's first solo album, though no one had ever heard of him or knew who he was. Mike drew even more attention when WK's website was hacked in 2004, and fans came across a series of messages that had been posted there, some of which made some alarming claims about the singer. One of the messages allegedly posted by Mike stated that he'd been giving WK's fans small clues that the artist wasn't who he seemed to be. He added that he'd given him ample opportunity to come forward as a fraud, but since he continued to claim that his music was his own, he now had taken it upon himself to expose the singer. Another of the messages read, quote, "I never wanted it to come to this, but I can no longer wait in the background and ignore your complete disrespect. Our choice to let you enjoy the spotlight while I create the magic leaves me almost helpless. You will not force me to expose myself until I expose you first. I have no choice but to let the world know you're a backstabbing fraud." Upon stumbling upon these messages, WK's fans became confused and started asking who Mike was and why he had personal issues with the singer. This is when the speculation started. Fans pointed out that WK was virtually unknown until his first album was released, and that he had very suddenly achieved success in the industry. They felt his meteoric rise was somewhat suspicious, and with these claims now being made against him, they were uncertain whether he was who he claimed to be. WK responded to his fans, asking them to ignore the claims, and adding that he used to call himself Steve in the past, and that someone was now trying to slander his name. In response, he stated that he'd completely removed himself and that just the music would remain since that was all that mattered. He added that he and his fans were stronger than ever and that he would continue to make music. But his fans found this response strange and confusing, and soon theories were suggested that he doesn't actually exist. Conspiracy theorists claimed that his role was being played by a series of actors, a claim that was exacerbated at a concert in New Jersey in 2004. Security guards and some of the fans close to the stage claimed that the person performing on stage wasn't Andrew W.K, and that someone else had been dressed in his iconic outfit and pretended to sing his songs. The singer also walked off stage mid-performance and never returned, causing the rest of the show to be called off. It was shortly after this incident that Steve Mike appeared, but
Hey, there's been a lot of rumors about people being clones these days. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't totally dismiss them all. Some people could be a clone. You never know, bro.
WK attempted to explain what happened. He told his fans that someone with whom he'd worked closely with in the past had run into financial difficulty and decided to take it out on the singer, since they had run into some difficulty in their relationship. There was a fight over who owned the rights to the music he produced, and who'd actually written the songs on his album. The speculation had evidently been laid to rest, but some theorists still claim that the Church of Scientology, or the Illuminati, had something to do with the incident. Number 7. Most of us relish in the opportunity to sit back, relax, and watch football, baseball, or basketball on TV. But while we see it as a way to while away the day, some people are heavily invested in certain athletes and the teams that they play for. The fact is, there's big money in professional sports, not only for the athletes and teams themselves, but for people who bet on the outcome of matches. And it's because of this that a conspiracy theory has come to light. It claims that all professional sport is scripted and acted out by the athletes like a play on a stage. It comes as no surprise that the theory was first proposed by fans who'd lost a lot of money. But since then, many others have started to wonder whether it could hold some truth. It doesn't help that many—
I ain't gonna lie, bro. And I'm a huge sport fan. And I stayed away from this one for the longest. But you can't deny some of the things that you see, some of the critical calls and the critical moments of a game that can decide the outcome. It makes you think like, man, they trying to kiss, like they trying to beat the spread, or it's tipped this way. So if they go this way, a lot of people go, and Vegas is going. Like, I tried to stay away from it as long as I could. I fought it, but some of the calls and some of the things that happen, you can't help but think it's scripted.
Many sports are marred by corruption, such as the scandal involving NBA referee Tim Donaghy, who placed bets on over 100 games in 2007, many of which he was officiating. He won his bet 88% of the time, suggesting that he used his power as a referee to influence the games in his favor. And when he was finally found out by the FBI, he was sentenced to 15 months behind bars, despite his claims that he merely used inside information to make educated guesses on the outcomes. While this certainly isn't unheard of, it's when Donaghy stated that the NBA had asked officials to call a penalty on a certain spin move that was being used by players that fans started to become suspicious. On one occasion, Michael Jordan, one of the best players to ever play the sport, utilized this move, and Donaghy called for a penalty. He claims to have explained to Jordan's coach that this was a new rule that the coach was aware of, to which he agreed but replied that the penalty should not be called when Jordan makes that particular play. Following this, theories started popping up everywhere, with fans wondering whether star players are being given more leeway, thereby boosting their team's popularity, and as a result, their profit, as well as the league's.
Come on now, you ever heard of Tom Brady and the Brady rules? Oh, okay. All right. Michael Jordan's another one. Certain players are going to get calls that other players, they ain't even going to put the whistle in their mouth to blow the whistle, bro. They ain't even thinking about calling that for them.
They speculated that when a playoff series is being played, with one team dominating another, referees will often favor the underdog in order to prolong the series, thereby raking in more money for players, teams, leagues, and the networks that broadcast the games. Some fans went as far as to claim that the colors used in the Super Bowl logo can be used to predict who will win that particular year. They pointed out that on many occasions, the two teams that reached the Super Bowl sported the same colors as the colors on the logo, and that the team who won wore the colors on the bottom of the logo. For example, the Los Angeles Rams winning in February of 2022, sporting yellow on their uniforms. None of these theories have ever been proven, but many fans have stated that they've become disillusioned with professional sports and believe that it's all being orchestrated from behind closed doors. Number 6. Chuck E. Cheese has been a household name in America for a very long time. Countless children's birthday parties have been held there over the decades, since its first branch opened in San Jose, California in 1977. While the restaurant's menu offers a variety of options, such as chicken wings, cheesy bread, and desserts, it's probably best known for its pizza. In 2019, though, conspiracy theorists took aim at this menu item after a series of images were posted online. Customers started noticing that the pizzas brought to their tables weren't always the same size, and that they sometimes had strange shapes, and that slices from a whole pizza didn't always fit together as they should, raising the suspicions of many people. As soon as these images were uploaded to social media sites, conspiracy theorists went to work and started suggesting that the chain was reusing old slices of pizza that had not been eaten or had been sent back by customers, and were then serving them to new customers. The theory gained a lot of traction when a well-known YouTuber featured the claims in one of his videos in 2019. In the footage, he visits one of the restaurant's branches and shows the mismatched slices, recalling that they were that way even when he was a child. The rumors soon reached the restaurant chain, and they were quick to respond, stating that the allegations were completely unfounded. BuzzFeed interviewed one of the chain's employees who found the claims laughable and who stated that each pizza is made fresh and to order. He also pointed out that the slices could not be merely reheated, since the restaurants have no microwaves, and demonstrated how their pizzas are sliced, noting that they are prone to shift while being cut, sometimes causing the slices to come out in a strange shape rather than a triangle. Lastly, he pointed out that all the slices in their pizzas are the same color, and that if they were reusing old slices, this would not be the case, since the cheese topping would only cook further upon being reheated, and hence—
I don't know, but the way these pictures look, it don't help their argument at all. Because I'm sitting here like, that looks like that doesn't belong. Like, if you was doing some type of a puzzle and you looked at this and somebody said, I'm done, you'd be like, something don't feel right here.
Be darker than the fresh slices. Other customers who refuted the claims added that the pizza crusts always looked uniform and are obviously from the same pizza. But many people remained unconvinced and vowed never to eat at a Chuck E. Cheese again. Furthermore, health inspections are carried out at the restaurant's branches on a regular basis, and if old slices were being served to customers, it would be shut down very quickly since this could pose a serious health risk. Number 5. Before the 2012 Olympic Games were set to take place in London, conspiracy theories about the event started popping up, some of which came about thanks to the strange mascots that were created for the Games. The idea for 2 mascots, Winlock and Mandeville, came about while the Olympic Stadium was being built and a few drops of molten steel fell to the ground, creating the peculiar shapes that were then used to create the pair. When they were finally unveiled to the public, most people found them laughable, but many others thought they looked like alien creatures, leading to much speculation online, since a lot of people thought their image didn't properly represent the Games. They felt that not enough thought was put into the mascot's creation, but accepted that there was nothing to be done about it. But as with most global events, conspiracy theorists quickly jumped on the bandwagon with a few ideas of their own. They started speculating that the mascots were a tongue-in-cheek reference to a massive event that was about to take place, an alien invasion that would take place at the Olympic Stadium for the entire world to see. If this were to happen, pandemonium would break out, not only in the stadium, but across the globe. But according to these theorists, this would merely be a distraction for something much worse. They believed that the alien invasion would just be a hoax put on by the governments of the world to hide their true agenda, the creation of the New World Order, an organization that would then take over the planet and run it in any way they saw fit. They speculated that people would be so enthralled by the alien invasion that they would immediately surrender, giving the New World Order the perfect opportunity to enact their plan of creating a single global government, religion, and economy. Most people didn't pay too much attention to these claims, but others were immediately drawn in thanks to evidence presented by conspiracy theorists. They claimed that the first sign could be found in the London Olympics logo, which also drew controversy when it was unveiled. They claimed that if you were to rearrange the shapes that formed 2012, it's possible to spell out the word Zion, and that this serves as proof that the New Jerusalem would be built in England, specifically in Lee Valley. Next, they trained their sights on the street names around the stadium, namely Great Eastern Road, Carpenter's Road, Angel Lane, Temple Mills Lane, and Church Road. They noted that all the names made reference to the Bible and added that they found it suspicious that the area had never been developed, suggesting that it was being reserved for the New World Order's headquarters. They suggested that Prince William would become king of the New Jerusalem since his birthday falls on the summer solstice, the 21st of June. Furthermore, they found it strange that he would be turning 30 that year, when the 30th Olympiad was being held. They then referred back to the 1984 closing ceremony at the Los Angeles Games, where a fake flying saucer was lowered down into the Coliseum, followed by an alien character appearing and waving to the crowd. They claimed that this was merely a warm-up to the fake invasion that was to take place in 2012. The Games have since come and gone, and not a word has been heard from conspiracy theorists that were proven wrong when no invasion took place. But no doubt when the next Olympic Games are held, they will be out in full force once again. Number 4. The Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland has been the target of conspiracy theories before it was even created, with people believing that it would be used to open black holes that will destroy the planet, and that it's being used to visit alternate realities, or that it will cause our reality to collide with others, throwing both universes into turmoil and destruction. The truth of the matter is that CERN is using the collider to test and prove certain theories about particle physics.
I don't believe that. Nope. I don't believe that for 1 second at all, bro. They could be doing that, but they're doing all that. To me, these are my theories. I just think a whole lot of other things are, we should always pay attention to what CERN is doing, bro. That's just me personally. I think that.
Such as the existence of dark matter and the Higgs boson, also known as the God particle, the second heaviest particle that we've ever discovered. On the 5th of July, 2022, the accelerator was started up for the 3rd time after undergoing 3 years of intensive maintenance. When it was fired up this time, though, it managed to operate at an unprecedented level of 13.6 trillion electron volts, making it possible to test for many more new discoveries. But predictably, this caught the attention of conspiracy theorists, who quickly took to social media sites and online forums to discuss what they thought would happen and what the restart of the collider meant for the rest of the world. YouTube videos were created on the subject. TikTokers started their own speculations, and Reddit users posted their thoughts, some of which were very outlandish. TikTok and YouTube videos on the subject were viewed by millions of people, and some of the wild theories started to grow in stature. One such video claimed that the collider would result in a portal being opened to another dimension, and that we as the public weren't supposed to know about it, though they didn't state where they managed to find this information on their own. Some users agreed with these claims, but added another theory of their own, that the portal would have two-way access and would allow demons to enter our reality to cause as much havoc as possible. They claimed that they found proof of this in the occult symbolism that could be found throughout the collider's location. They added that people around the world would become aware of these demons, since they would start seeing shadow people in the periphery of their vision wherever they went. One Christian minister took this a step further, claiming that these videos about portals being opened were purposefully being uploaded to the internet to condition people for when the actual events take place, making it easier for them to accept when the event takes place. The speculation didn't stop there, though. Some people suggested that the invasion of the Middle East was done to find and secure a Stargate portal that was somehow connected to the collider, and that it would allow travel to other planets or alternate dimensions. CERN was quick to dismiss these claims, stating that they were being completely transparent about their intentions, and that the restart of the collider had nothing to do with portals, interdimensional travel, or the end of the world. Luckily, these videos were met by a slew of other uploads by people who explained what the collider was being used for, and that all these theories were complete fabrications with no basis in reality. The collider was started up as scheduled, and as no great surprise, the world continued as normal. Plans have been put in place by CERN for the collider's next run, which is set to take place in 2030, and it's certain that we will be barraged by a new set of conspiracy theories when the time nears. Number 3. The German hard rock band The Scorpions, best known for their hit song Rock You Like a Hurricane, formed in Hanover in 1965. They released their first full-length album in 1972, and have since released 18 more in a career that has spanned decades, resulting in over 75 million record sales. While Rock You Like a Hurricane became very popular after its inclusion in the video game Grand Theft Auto, another of their songs, Wind of Change, became one of the best-selling single tracks of all time, as it sold more than 14 million copies around the world. But according to conspiracy theorists, not all is as it seems with this song. The band has stated that the track is about the end of the Cold War and the tense conditions that existed at the time, but not everyone was convinced that they were being truthful. They suggested that the band wasn't responsible for the song, and that it was actually written by the CIA to destabilize an already struggling Soviet Union.
Now, this is the first time I've ever heard claims of the CIA being involved in the music business. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't put it past them. But this is the first time, bro. Tell me y'all have heard of them controlling or doing things to songs in the music business. I've never heard that claim. But again, this is the CIA we're talking about. You cannot put nothing past them.
One podcaster, Patrick Radden, claims that he first heard the theory from someone in the intelligence community, and that he decided to investigate. He claims that the US government was well aware that the Iron Curtain was about to come down, and that the Soviet Union would eventually collapse. But since there was a possibility that the Soviet Union would endure, the CIA decided to create the song as a type of propaganda. Since heavy rock music was very popular at the time, they felt that it would be the perfect vessel for their message, since the Berlin Wall had just fallen a year earlier, an event that was still fresh in people's minds, making it the perfect time to create an anthem that would speed up the fall of the Soviet Union. According to theorists, the fact that the song is a ballad further proves that it was created for this purpose, since it would be easier to listen to, even to people who weren't fans of hard rock music at the time. But most importantly, it would be a hit in the Eastern Bloc, also known as the Soviet Bloc, and its message would speak to the people there since Western music was scarce at the time and could only be acquired on the black market. Furthermore, bands like the Scorpions were seen as problematic, and anyone caught listening to their music would face legal repercussions. But with the fall of the Iron Curtain, all of this changed, and according to conspiracy theorists, would only speed up the process. The song was such a huge hit in the Soviet Union that people risked being arrested just to get their hands on a copy, whether it was original or bootlegged. The theory made sense to a lot of people, but others pointed out a fatal flaw: that people in the Soviet Union would likely not have agreed with its message if it came to light that it had been created by the CIA. In 1999, the band performed Wind of Change at the Brandenburg Gate in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, a fact that conspiracy theorists point out whenever the subject is discussed. While we may never know if the CIA had a hand in its creation, the song continues to serve as a reminder of the fall of the Iron Wall, and no proof has ever been found that it was created as anti-Soviet propaganda. Number 2. In August of 2023, Maui and Hawaii became the sites of a series of devastating wildfires that ravaged much of the area, resulting in many people losing their lives and causing an estimated $5.5 billion in damages. The cause of the fires was dry weather accompanied by high winds, and once the first fire broke out, it was almost impossible to stop it, since it was being spread by the high winds that caused even more fires to break out, resulting in the deadliest wildfires in the history of the US and the biggest natural disaster in the state's history. As a result, thousands of people were evacuated as the affected areas experienced power and phone service outages. Lahaina was one of the worst affected areas, as nearly 80% of the town was completely decimated, and it was estimated that it would take years before it was fully restored. But despite the cause of the fires being obvious, conspiracy theorists decided to chime in on the tragic events that affected thousands of people, as they thought there was a different, more sinister cause. They took to Facebook, X, and Instagram to state their belief that the fires were caused by the US government, who used directed energy weapons, and that this was being done so that Maui could be rebuilt as a smart island. Others speculated that the government wanted to turn Lahaina into a 15-minute city, and that lasers were used to start the blazes there. This theory was also proposed in 2017 by a flat Earth YouTuber known as Odd Reality, when wildfires ravaged across California despite having no proof to back up his claims. As with any such disaster, a thorough investigation was conducted as to what caused it, and at no time was any evidence found that they'd been started deliberately, whether by the government or a member of the public. But speculation continued online, with one Instagram user posting a video of the devastation and adding that it didn't look like a wildfire had taken place, but rather as if a bomb had been detonated. The clip quickly gained millions of views. A video on X claimed to show the directed weapons firing their lasers at Maui, but it was quickly pointed out that the footage was from earlier that year, and actually showed a transformer that had exploded in China. But this did little to stem the flow of theories. Another image that claimed to show a laser being pointed at a burning church was later found to have been faked, begging the question why someone would purposefully attempt to spread misinformation when thousands of people had been left stranded and fighting for their lives. Nonetheless, the image garnered as many as 9 million views, with the Transformer video gaining a total of 10 million. People started suggesting that his plans to turn Maui into a smart island were part of the World Economic Forum's agenda, since a meeting had taken place there in January of that year, where 15-minute cities were discussed. Some conspiracy theorists believe that 15-minute cities will be created as a means to control the world's population, but they failed to offer any proof that this is the case. Number 1. Most of us are familiar with the saying, "They don't make things like they used to," as it's often used to refer to the flavors of certain products being different, the longevity of electronics, or when someone's car breaks down. But thanks to conspiracy theorists, the phrase has taken on new meaning, as they've started speculating that the sun has changed in recent years. They claim that they remember our star being yellow, and that it's now suddenly changed to white. One X user posted an update in which they complained that they were having a discussion with a person in their 20s, and when they mentioned that the sun used to be yellow, they were laughed at. This gave rise to a wave of theories, some claiming that the sun had not only changed color, but that it had now taken on a peculiar oblong shape instead of the perfectly round sphere that we used to see in the sky.
Think about this, y'all. I'm going back to my childhood in my mind now. How many of y'all used to take the piece of paper and draw the sun at the top right-hand corner of the paper when you were drawing in school? And if you go back in your mind and think about those times you were outside on the playground and you looked up, what color was that sun? Like, they might be onto something with this one. I completely never thought about this.
When one woman named Jackie DeVoy posted a photo of the strangely shaped sun, one user replied that she'd simply taken a bad photo. She then asked her son to take a better photo from her balcony, and the result was the same, a strange oval-shaped object in the sky. Author Jay Widener took to the platform to state his disbelief that we were seeing the strange change of color thanks to chemtrails that were being sprayed in our atmosphere, in an effort to block out a percentage of the sun's rays to lessen the effects of global warming on our planet. He added that he was old enough to remember the sun being yellow, and stated that anyone his age would agree with him. Thousands of people started chiming in, claiming to also remember the sun being yellow, and that they believed something untoward was going on. Some people suggested that this was a form of the Mandela effect, which is a phenomenon where a large group of people share a false memory, such as lyrics in a song or a scene in a movie that they believe is inexplicably changed. Others speculated that this misconception is the result of the sun being portrayed as yellow in some children's books and TV shows, and that people simply didn't know that the sun has always appeared white from the Earth. Some users tried to explain why the sun sometimes looked yellow, stating that its rays contain all the wavelengths and colors in the visible spectrum, and when they hit our atmosphere, blue light is scattered, while some red light is allowed to pass through, creating the illusion of a yellow sun. Quite unbelievably, some users stated that they took part in an activity called sun gazing, in which they stared directly at the sun for long periods of time, despite knowing that this could cause serious damage to their eyes. While some users tried to explain why the sun is, and has always been white, conspiracy theorists continued to argue these facts, and insisted that the change is a sign that the governments of the world are lying to us, and that our air is being poisoned with chemtrails. The debate surrounding this topic rages on, and as with most conspiracy theories, will likely be discussed for a long time to come, despite scientific explanations debunking the strange claims made by conspiracy theorists.